Good evening and welcome to BOI Impact. I am Hadiza Olaosebikan. It's indeed a delight to bring you this edition of the program as the Bank of Industry strengthens its partnership with microfinance banks, MFBs, across the country. For the effective delivery of the bank's bottom of the pyramid scheme, BOI's bottom of the pyramid scheme is a lending product that uses microfinance banks, MFBs, as vehicle for credit delivery to the underserved and underbanked micro entrepreneurs. This the bank does with the aim of reducing poverty through job and wealth creation by extending the hands of financial inclusion to micro enterprise operators who are unable to access credit from the big deposit money banks or commercial banks. The bottom of the pyramid scheme and partnership with microfinance banks are being aligned with the federal government's social intervention program to entrench financial inclusion. To chart a roadmap forward, the bank recently organized an interactive session with the microfinance banks in Southwest tagged Partnership with MFBs, with the theme Closing the Access to Finance Gap. The event was organized by the Bank of Industry's Micro Enterprise Directorate. The essence of the interaction is to sensitize MFBs operators on the bank's guidelines for the Jeep Market Money program of the federal government as well as the bank's BOP operations. At the interactive sessions were the Managing Director of the Bank of Industry, Mr. Olaosebikan, Executive Director Micro Enterprises, Mrs. Toyin Adeniji, the General Manager SME, Mr. Abdulganiyu Mohammed, and the President, National Association of Microfinance Banks. Others are the heads of MFBs across the southwestern states of the country and other relevant stakeholders. Here are highlights of the interactive sessions as captured by BOI Impact crew. Declaring the interactive session with the Southwest Microfinance Bank operators open, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Bank of Industry, Mr. Olaosebikan, said these interactions are designed at bringing the MFBs up to speed with the operations of BOI at the micro level.
I welcome you all to this technical session aimed at deepening the Bank of Industry's partnership with microfinance banks. This is the first of 5 sessions to be held with all licensed microfinance banks in Nigeria. The sessions have been regionalized to promote ease of attendance for the MFBs. These sessions came about as a result of the need to resolve all issues that have hitherto limited the expansion of Bank of Industry's partnerships with microfinance banks. At BOI, we understand that the key role the MFBs play in bridging the financing gap experienced by micro enterprises in the Nigerian economy, and we seek to align with the MFBs to promote financial inclusion and deepen your activities driving economic growth among people at the bottom of the pyramid. It is therefore hoped that at the end of each of these sessions, the MFBs here in attendance will have a better understanding of Bank of Industry's position in driving micro enterprise development in Nigeria. MFBs will better understand Bank of Industry's microcredit programs and how they can participate in the execution of these programs. BOI will recognize the challenges experienced by the interested MFBs in some of the programs that we run. Bank of Industry and MFBs will have reached common grounds on how to increase the participation of Nigerian microfinance banks on the programs that we run at the bank. Why are we having these sessions? We know that in driving economic growth in any nation, it is imperative to ensure that flow of money and capital reaches the bottom of the pyramid whereby the majority of the country's citizenship fall. There are some areas of constraint. I've had a meeting with a subsector of some of you, so some of the things you might want to talk about today, I'm already familiar with it. So please be open and let us see how we can ensure that you get funding and that the funding gets to the people that needs the funding at a good interest rate. There is no way you can support the micro enterprises with a loan of 5% flat per month, 10% flat per month, pay over 6 months. I know you are going to get back and tell us that it's due to your cost of funds. Yes, that is why we want to empower you. So like I said, let's make the meeting practical. We are looking for solutions. So the things we don't know, tell us. You know, the things that are bottlenecks to you accessing capital from us, let us know. And give us ideas. Some of the ideas might come from you, let's discuss them. This session is technical, it's interactive. Let us have the best of it.
The Executive Director of Micro Enterprises of the bank, Mrs. Toyin Adeniji, pointed out some of the bank's expectations from the partnership.
You are the ones that are close to that sector, so it only makes sense that we engage with you. It only makes sense that we work with you to see how we can better reach that sector. As BOI, it's not possible for us to have, you know, 1 million or 2 million microfinance beneficiaries or accounts on our records. We don't want 2 million beneficiaries, individual beneficiaries in our portfolio. But we want to know that through our partnership with microfinance banks, we are reaching those people. And we don't want to compete. We're not competing. We're not in competition with microfinance banks. So that's not the intention. We all know these statistics. There are over 37 million MSBs operating in Nigeria. Of these, about 18 million of them are micro enterprises. More than 80% of them do not have access to credit, even as of today, even with over or close to 1,000 microfinance banks operating in Nigeria. Lack of credit is still an issue. And so banks today, traditional banks today, they're not in the business of funding the clients that we want to reach. So there is an issue, and that's where we want to step into the gap. We want to be able to be that wholesale partner. We want to partner with you, but it's not a treasury play. We want to partner with you. We have a mandate to reach, and so through that partnership, we have to be able to count, you know, and attribute your beneficiaries to be counted as beneficiaries of the Bank of Industry. So these are some of the things we're going to talk about as well today. I want you to seriously start thinking about questions that you will have, issues that we can discuss.
There were also presentations on the product dynamism of Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program (GEP) and the bottom of the pyramid BOP scheme by Olaosebikan and Azuka Okofu.
Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program. This is a very ambitious program. It's actually one of the most ambitious government programs in the world. We're mandated to reach 1.6 million people in 1 year's time. So there's no way, given what BOI, the structure that BOI has, that we can reach 1.6 million beneficiaries. We've been able to reach 60,000 beneficiaries. We're present in about 31 states plus the Federal Capital Territory. We've disbursed about 4 billion naira to date. Through this program, 349,000 people have opened fresh bank accounts, and then 56% of the loans have been disbursed to women. And we actually have interest from about 3.2 million beneficiaries. So obviously, given the interest that we have, we're going to meet and obviously surpass our targets. So I'd like to go into our partnership with microfinance banks. Like I had mentioned, the microfinance banks are very critical for us because they provide access or last mile access to the beneficiaries. I mean, we have microfinance banks in states where they're in areas where there are no banks. And I'll just talk briefly about the way that we work with the microfinance banks on this. So first of all, the microfinance banks will conduct KYC and credit appraisals on the applicants. They will send this list to BOI to validate. Upon successful validation of the list sent by the microfinance banks, BOI will disburse the lump sum of the total approved beneficiaries to the MFBs. The loans are then disbursed to the beneficiaries, and these are the sectors that we talked about before. So we expect the loans to go to this same sector: market women and traders, artisans, enterprising youths, farmers, and agri workers. In terms of repayment, the beneficiaries are meant to repay on a weekly basis. BOI and the microfinance bank reconcile the repayment, and then the microfinance banks remit on a monthly basis back to BOI.
We've given out 3.6 billion to over 20 microfinance banks, and we've impacted over 3,000 customers at the micro level. But you see, we can do much more. With our collaboration with you, we can do much more. Over 71% of our population are in the bottom of the pyramid, so we can do a lot. BOI wants to do a lot in this space, but with your support, with your partnership. That's why we say we want to hear from you. We want to make this session as practical as possible. The criteria for assessing BOP loans. Now, these are some of the things that the regulators have highlighted. We are just supporting it so that our industry can be very strong, can be sustainable. So the first one here, we say we require a minimum of 10% capital adequacy ratio. That's what CBN requires from you. That's what NDIC requires. So this is not different. Now, for PAR, your portfolio at risk, or MPL, CBN requires 5%. But because we are operators, because we understand the market, BOI has come forward and said, see, even if you have 10 improvements in the PAR, we also go ahead and do business with you. So we say liquidity ratio of 20%. You must have been in operations for 3 years. The MFB must have been in operations for 3 years. Now, I know that many MFBs got disqualified from this criteria, but we've also seen situations where if you have 2 audited annual financial statements and you have operated for 6 months, we look at your management account for those 6 months and see what we can work with. So this is also, we are flexible. Now we say microcredit to other loans, a minimum ratio of 80 to 20, and we also implore you to make your shareholders' funds robust, irrespective of if you are a unit, a state, or a national MFB. Like I said, I'm not going to take much of your time, but please, we want this interaction to be this session to be as interactive as possible. We want it practical because we really want to make impact in our space. The potential is enormous. We want this collaboration to be more impactful.
The president of the National Association of Microfinance Banks, Valentine Wemsu, spoke on the BOI MFBs partnership.
Let me start by thanking the Bank of Industry for this initiative, because it's welcome, and it's the first time we are having this kind of a thing with the managing director and the management of BOI. What we used to have is everybody go to your office in Marina and discuss one-on-one and come out whether you get it or not. But now we are having this one-on-one with the BOI, and I also think it's worth applause. Please, can we put our hands together for Bank of Industry? It's clear that from what I'm asked to do here, that the BOI to have a vision that there is concern, that means there is issue to be discussed between the partnership that is about to take place or that we already have in existence, and then again, what are the concerns? What is the reason why this thing is not moving forward? I want to say that we have a concern in this partnership, collateral requirements. MD has told us now that the issue of bank guarantee is going to be taken as a condition. However, it's not going to be the collateral that will be used for us to access either BOP or JIP with BOI. So that alone is enough relief for us, because now property can also be taken. Okay, property of the owners of our microfinance bank, and then if it is the microfinance bank itself that owns that property, then it can also be taken for you to access this facility. Finally, for this to remain sustainable, there should be the saving component, and there should be also opportunity for MFBs to do some other businesses for us to move forward. My dear colleagues, we are ready as MFB to partner with BOI, but these concerns and other concerns that might come from my various chairmen and for every one of us who are here, my colleagues who are here, I think is what we should consider, and let's work together as one-on-one, and every condition we bring, and I'm sure it will be successful. Thank you very much.
The kind of customers we deal with, they are broken into two. Let me classify it from that perspective. In other words, some are registered, some are not registered. But the ones that are not registered constitute about 80%, which are group people. In other words, some people come together, they know themselves, they've identified themselves, and they form a group. It's not registered by any CAC or by anybody, but we identify them as group members. So based on that, we give them lending, and they also have cross guarantees across board, and repayments are made, and the rest of them. So which beneficiaries are we talking about here? Because if, truly speaking, we want to get these things across to them, we need to have an idea of what we're talking about.
When we say, you know, we're intermediating through the microfinance banks, we are not here to dictate your business to you and how you operate. So when you are dealing with groups of customers that are not in very, very structured associations, they're your clients. You know, we are just going to attribute to those clients as beneficiaries. They're your clients, you are comfortable with them, you've been working with them for X years, you know you are the ones going to take a risk on them, right? You are the ones going to do the collection. So by all means, if they're informal associations, but they're your clients and you work with them under your own your own structure, your own risk criteria, then that's fine. So if that's something we need to look at in the actual documentation, we will look at it.
You talk about the capacity gap. I mean, how BOI is going to help the microfinance bank, staff, in building the capacity about all this new idea.
Capacity building we look at, whatever we can do so that it makes sense for us and for you, we will do. But that is not, again, I can't promise that we're going to now have a national training for all staff. We can't do that. But where we do identify key gaps that we can support, whatever way we can support, we're listening, we're open, whatever we're able to do, we'll do, because we want to move the sector forward.
After the interactions, the bank's General Manager SME, Mr. Abdulganiyu Mohammed, summed up the whole essence of the bank's partnership with MFBs on JIP and BOP scheme.
We all realize that the largest business segment that has been neglected the world over is the BOP. Globally, 65% of the population is underserved and unserved. Transpose that on Nigeria, we are looking at about 70% or more. In BOI, we saw that it was an opportunity to be able to perform our developmental role for that segment. We are not primed or set up to serve micro entrepreneurs. No, we don't have that capacity. And we recognize the fact that you microfinance banks are better positioned to do that job because that is your specialty. And we saw that vehicle and we keyed into it. So 2011, we started consultations with small groups of MFBs in various parts of the country. And then the BOP product evolved. Then we thought, when you put a product in the market, you need to innovate to be able to sell it properly. You must innovate, you must look at your business model and tweak it to serve that segment you are looking for. So we also went back to the drawing board to review the product. And that was when we invited NAM, Mr. Wesu is here, And we did a review of the product and came up with what you have now. Even in spite of that, we still went back, based on feedback, to tinker a little with some of the conditions to be able to serve you. Now, this forum, and which will be replicated in other zones in the country, is like a validation exercise. So that at the end of the day, it will be a win-win situation for everybody.
Well, I think it's been very successful in the sense that a lot of the questions, burning issues that was holding the partnership from realizing its targets and sort of really having a deeper engagement were brought to the table. And I think we gave very good answers. We started off with the issue of collateral, which was addressed even from the onset. That this is something that we understand has been a real bottleneck. And we will look at it. We will look at other combinations of collateral and blend them together so that at the end of the day we all have a win-win solution. So I think we've teased out a lot of the issues, and I think the good thing is that we're going to go national with this. We're going to pull all those questions together. We're going to really go back to the drawing table and see how we can make the products. That's the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program and our bottom of the pyramid program. Make it more friendly to the microfinance banks and achieve our targets.
We've created an impact. BOI has created an impact today by having this list of MFB MDs and other stakeholders to be in attendance. I think it's a good start. And I also want to say that it's the beginning of a new dawn. They've tried some other means, but this one shows that by the time indicative offer and everything are sent to our MFBs, you are likely going to get good response. And the ultimate thing for everybody in this room is how we touch the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid. And that is what we want to achieve in this country. So I think it's very impactful, it's educative, and it's engaging.
Welcome back. I hope many micro, small and medium enterprises operators out there have been gingered towards accessing BOI funds that suits the particular needs of their business. As we always say on this program, the Bank of Industry will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that MSME operators of the Nigerian economy are properly funded and transformed. If you are an entrepreneur or you have a business idea that you think requires support from BOI, no matter how small, this is the time for you to reach out to our ever-ready team of professionals in the bank, our partner MFBs, and also the accredited business development service providers, BDSPs, to put you through the processes. For further inquiries, please visit the bank's website to see the list of microfinance banks, BDSPs, and state offices nearest to you. BOI state offices are also listed at the end of this program. It's on this note that we'll draw the curtains on tonight's edition of BOI Impact. I am Hadiza Olaosebikan. Do have yourself an enterprising week. Bye for now.